The wind sweeping over the French coastline carried a mix of smoke, salt, and fear. It was the summer of 1940, and the beach at Dunkirk had become a dead end. Hundreds of thousands of Allied soldiers were trapped, with the vast sea at their backs and the German army closing in fast. Among them was Private Thomas Hale. He was exhausted, starving, and terrified, clinging to the thinnest thread of hope that someone, somehow, would come for them. German bombers shrieked overhead, their piercing sound a constant prelude to destruction. Every few minutes, explosions ripped through the sand, sending plumes of black smoke curling into the sky. The once beautiful blue horizon was now a canvas of ash and fire. The soldiers huddled in long, desperate lines, waiting for ships that were too few and too vulnerable. They were sitting ducks, exposed on the open beach. Across the English Channel, the British government faced a devastating truth. The Royal Navy alone could not save them. The large destroyers couldn't get close enough to the shallow shores, and they were easy targets for enemy aircraft. The situation was dire. They needed a miracle. They needed help from an entirely unexpected source. And then, something extraordinary happened. A call went out, not to the military, but to the people. And ordinary citizens answered. Fishermen, merchants, retirees, and families with small weekend boats began to gather at harbors all along the southern coast of England. Their vessels were tiny, almost fragile against the immense power of war, but their determination was unbreakable. They were going to bring the boys home. Among them was Arthur Bennett, an elderly boat owner, and his son Jack, a young mechanic. Their fishing boat, the Blue Swan, was their livelihood, not a warship. As they prepared to set sail, Jack looked at his father with worry in his eyes. He said, "Dad, the Germans will tear us apart out there." Arthur placed a steady hand on his son's shoulder and looked out towards the sea. He replied softly, "Those boys on that beach, they're someone's sons too." With that, their small boat joined a growing makeshift fleet of civilian vessels, a fleet that would later be known as the legendary Little Ships of Dunkirk. Back on the beach, Thomas waited under the punishing sun. Days blurred into a nightmare of hunger and fear. But then, whispers started spreading through the ranks, carried on the wind like seeds of hope. "They're sending civilian boats," one soldier said. "Hundreds of them," another added. First, no one believed it. How could tiny fishing boats possibly rescue an entire army from the jaws of the German war machine? It seemed impossible, a cruel rumor. But then someone shouted, their voice cracking with disbelief. Look at the sea." Thousands of heads turned towards the horizon, and there they were. Dark shapes, at first just specks, growing larger by the minute. Dozens, then hundreds, not warships, little boats, fishing trawlers, yachts, motorboats, all of them sailing straight into the burning chaos of the French coast. A wave of stunned silence fell over the beach, quickly replaced by a roar of disbelief and dawning hope. Across the water, Arthur and Jack Bennett battled the choppy waves of the channel. The echo of distant explosions grew louder with every mile. German planes, like angry hornets, dived low over the water, dropping bombs that sent towering geysers of white water into the air. The sea churned violently around them, but the Blue Swan, with its crew of 2, pressed forward, their small engine chugging along a heartbeat of defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. They were part of a vast, unorganized armada, guided by nothing more than courage and a shared sense of duty. On the beach, the first boats began to arrive. They navigated through wreckage and shallow waters, their skippers shouting instructions over the din of war. Thomas, his eyes stinging from smoke, saw the name painted on the side of one approaching vessel. The Blue Swan. A surge of adrenaline shot through him. He scrambled to his feet and ran towards it, stumbling through the sand along with dozens of other desperate soldiers. Hope, real, tangible hope, had finally reached them. Arthur and Jack worked tirelessly, hauling man after man onto their small boat. The deck was soon crowded with exhausted, grateful soldiers. Thomas collapsed onto the wooden planks, breathless and shaking, the feeling of solid ground beneath him almost surreal. He looked up at the father and son, their faces grim with determination. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice hoarse. Jack just nodded, his hands firm on the wheel. "We'll get you home," he said. Suddenly, a deafening roar filled the air as a German dive bomber streaked low overhead. Its target was their small, crowded boat. A bomb whistled down and exploded dangerously close, sending a massive wave crashing over them. The Blue Swan was thrown violently onto its side, and for a terrifying moment, it seemed they would capsize, but somehow, miraculously, the little boat righted itself. It was damaged, but it stayed afloat. With no time to waste, Jack turned the boat back toward England. The journey home felt endless. The waves of the channel crashed against the hull, and the smoke from the burning French coast followed them like a dark, pursuing shadow. Every second felt borrowed, every mile a victory. Yet, they were not alone. All around them, the sea was filled with other small boats, each one a tiny ark sailing together. Some were towing lifeboats filled with more men. Others carried the wounded. Many were riddled with bullet holes but still pushing forward. It was a floating miracle, an entire fleet powered by sheer grit. Halfway across the channel, Thomas risked a look back. He saw the shrinking outline of Dunkirk, a dark smear of smoke and fire on the horizon. For the first time in weeks, he felt his lungs fill with clean air. He could finally breathe. He was going home. As the white cliffs of the English coastline rose into view, a sound drifted across the water. It was the sound of cheering. On the docks, thousands of people had gathered, volunteers, doctors, and anxious families. They were all there, waiting. Arthur slowed the boat as they approached the harbor. Jack finally allowed himself to take a deep breath, his knuckles white from gripping the wheel. Thomas stepped onto the dock shaking, emotional, but alive. He was one of the first of many. Over the next 9 days, this incredible flotilla of little ships, alongside the Royal Navy, would sail back and forth, defying enemy bombers and treacherous seas. By the end of the operation, over 338,000 soldiers had been saved from what seemed like certain death or capture. It was a stunning success against impossible odds. A miracle, not born from military might, but from the incredible courage of ordinary people. It was a moment when fishermen and shopkeepers became heroes, when a nation's spirit refused to break. Dunkirk became a symbol of resilience, a testament to the fact that even in the darkest of times, hope, when shared, can change the course of history. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as moving as we did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from our past. See you next time.